spooky episode of Strumming with Christopher. I'm Christopher Gallegos with Monterey County Free Library's Gonzales branch. Time for another spooky guitar video because this is the season of spooky times. So, today I want to talk about the whole tone scale, or like I call it, whole tone horror. Too many horror movies, can you tell? I was not meant for radio, I was meant for books. A whole tone scale is a scale you don't hear very often. So we've talked a lot about the pentatonic scale, right? We've talked about arpeggios and things that are melodic, but if we want something that sounds a little spooky and sinister, whole tone is where it's at. So a whole tone scale, when we're talking about half steps and whole steps, which are kind of music theory terms that we haven't gotten into, on the guitar at least, a half step is basically just two frets that are next to each other. So a half step might be from fret 3 to 4, that's a half step. A whole step is from 3 to 5. So it's a difference of one full note. So it might be something like the difference between C and a D, or D and an E, or E and an F, etc., right? So a whole tone scale, I'm not going to show you the whole thing. I'm just going to use these top 3 frets again, just because things are a little easier to digest, especially if you're just having fun, if they're on these top 3 strings. And if you're trying to get a deep, kind of a sinister sound, these strings that are thicker also sound a little bit more, appropriate, because they're closer to kind of like a bass sound. They're thicker, right? So a whole tone scale, I want to show you, it's one of these things that, like most things I teach you, can be moved up and down the fretboard. So it's a movable shape, but this one's a little tougher. Now, the way I teach it, I tend to use my index finger and my pinky. You could also use your index finger and your ring finger, but the pinky just feels more comfortable for some reason, even though it's only a difference of 1 fret, okay? So what this whole tone scale is essentially, let's start at fret 3 this time, okay? So what it is you're going to play fret 3, okay? I'm just playing the string down here, just so you know. So fret 3, and then go to fret 5 on the low E, and then you're going to go down to the A string, fret 4 to 6, okay? So it's a subtle shift, 3, 5, 4, 6. So you're kind of moving forward as you go down these strings. So it'll be 3, 5, low E, A string, 4, 6, and then on the D, 5, 7, okay? And then you're going to go back up. So 7, 5, 4, 6, 5, 3. Okay, so let me play that really slow so you can kind of see that sound there. So it's I was trying to play it fast, which is actually hard. It's like a tongue twister for your fingers, but you see it has a very unique sound, almost something creepy about it, right? But that shape, just take that little shape I showed you and you can move it all the way down. So say I'll go down, So I think a person's brain tends to want to always cluster things right under each other, like a pentatonic scale. This one is a little tricky just because you have a shift of a fret when you go down. Now this thing can actually go down the whole fretboard, so it could go. But that's, the top 3 is good enough, okay? So just kind of get that thing in your mind. So 3, 5, low E, A string, 4, 6, 5, 7, on the D, and then back. And that pattern can be played all up and down, but it's actually fun to try and get some speed with it. That's what I was doing at the beginning. You see I don't have a pick today. It doesn't matter. You can use a pick, you can use your fingers. It's just kind of something to put a little spooky sound in your Halloween season. almost sounds like you're floating or something, like floating in the sky. See, it's fun. Give it a try. It's whole tone horror. This drop D of doom. So what is drop D? Well, drop D, basically you detune, so you tune down this low E string, the lowest string, you tune it down to the same note as the fourth string. So the D, you also tune down to D, okay? So starting from standard tuning, which we've used this whole time, you can use the D string as a guide here. So play that a couple times. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to go to your low E string and you want to start tuning the tuning peg in either direction that allows it to kind of start lowering in tone, so it sounds like this. E, right? Same note as this. You want to start tuning it down to where you're putting a little bit of slack in there, so it should sound like this. You hear it getting lower, and you want to get it to match the D note, which is string before. So when you're getting close, you can start checking it with this fourth string. You want them to sound like the exact same note. Okay, so if you're playing them both, same note. So what you're doing is you're basically tuning this low E string down to where it's a lower pitch, happens to be the same note as the fourth string, which is D, but this low pitch gives you the ability to play chords with one finger. And since it's a deeper note, it sounds a little spooky. Now you hear this pop up in grunge music, heavy metal music, stuff like that, but if you want to have some really spooky fun playing some riffs, this is the way to start. So if you play these top three strings now with this D tune, with this low E tuned down to a D, you get this nice deep bassy kind of thing. And then you put your finger over the top three frets, you just play those. So it's just one finger playing these top three strings. So basically just have your finger kind of like a low bar chord here. So something that sounds really spooky is if you play three frets next to each other. So say, I usually go down to 5, right? 5, 6, 7. So to see what I'm doing there, I'm fretting the top three strings with a pad of each finger. And when you play that in unison with this tuning, it sounds, that combination of the three going kind of down and going back sounds really spooky. So it would sound like this. Palm mute, where you kind of have your palm down by the bridge to get that chunkier sound, it sounds even more dark and spooky. Or if you go up here and you play open, and then 1, 2, 3, it's so that's a little trick for some spooky Halloween riffage. Give it a try. And before we go, we'll tune it back to the low E. So using this high E as a guide, start tuning it to where you're tightening that low E. Play a chord, you're in tune again. All right, everybody. See you again soon.